Moses does not pause here to teach geography, nor does he suddenly take an interest in two mountains. With a rhetorical question that hardly needs an answer, he pulls the people's eyes away from their present unease and hesitation and fixes them directly on the reality God has already prepared for them. It is as if he is saying, "Are not those two mountains just across the Jordan, on the very land you are about to enter?" This is not a distant theory, nor a choice to be faced at some undefined point in the future. It is a decision they must confront immediately, the moment they cross the river. Moses knows well that although the people have seen with their own eyes God's defeat of the Amorites and have already settled in the land of Bashan, the unbelief within them has not simply vanished. Their feet have moved forward, but their hearts are still pulling back. Therefore, God's word must again and again pierce their inner hesitation and force them to admit that God has already brought them to the threshold. For this reason, Moses is not enticing them with future blessings, but calling them to stop lingering by pointing to grace that is already set before them. When he says, "You will cross the Jordan, you will live in that land," these are not hypothetical statements, but declarations of God's determined course of action. It is precisely within this certainty that he sets the commandments before them. Because the law was not given in order to earn the inheritance, but to teach them how to live as God's people within the inheritance God freely gives. Since the land is received as a gift, life within it is no longer a matter of optional preference, but a responsibility that demands a response. Thus Moses does not conclude by saying, "Someday you must be careful to keep these commands, but all the statutes and ordinances that I command you today, you shall be careful to do." He pulls the timeline back into the present, because true drifting never begins on the outside, but in the heart, when God's word is quietly postponed. The most dangerous misuse of this passage is to turn grace already given into an excuse for loosening obedience. Moses, however, does exactly the opposite. He wants the people to understand that precisely because God has so concretely and decisively brought them to the doorway of the Promised Land, there is no longer any space left to evade obedience. This is not an attempt to force people to stand by their own works, but a revelation of a simple truth. If someone truly believes that God has already given the land, it is impossible to treat God's word as advice that can be dealt with later. God's grace does not leave people standing outside the door debating directions. It brings them inside, to spend a lifetime learning how to live according to all that He has spoken.